Welcome back. Whether you're gearing up for spring break or you're planning a summer vacation, Pigeon Forge is an easy and beautiful drive and destination.
Absolutely. I took my family to find out you can dive into history at the Titanic Museum. Check it out.
Today we are going deep inside the Titanic Museum. We're with Officer Jody, who's serving as kind of our captain, steering us through the ship. And as she said, it's really just the tip of the iceberg outside. Such a grand appearance from the main roadways here in Pigeon Forge. But inside, you guys have some fascinating artifacts.
Yes, our artifacts were either found floating in the ocean, came off victims' bodies, carried off by survivors, or even mailed off the ship. At the moment, we have about $4.5 million in artifacts.
Ooh, that is so much money. What is your favorite artifact right now?
Well, that's like picking a favorite child. But right now, I think my favorite is the Bible. Reverend Bateman lived in Knoxville, Tennessee in the 1890s. He had traveled to England to look at an orphanage, and on the way back, he was going to surprise his wife with her sister. So the last thing he did was put his sister-in-law in a lifeboat, gave her his Bible and a neckerchief to keep her throat warm. The last thing he told her was, if I don't see you in this world, I'll see you in the next. And we have his Bible on display.
That is truly chilling, and you told me you all opened it up and it was
John 3:16.
And that's where it is today.
That's where it stays.
There are quite a few stories of people from Tennessee, which was also just really surprising to me. And this is an evolving museum. It's constantly changing. The story about your founders is really fascinating as well. Tell us how this all came about.
Absolutely. The founders of our museum are John and Mary Joslin. John Joslin put together the second expedition to dive to the Titanic, and that was in 1987, and he was the first to do film footage and photography. And he always told me that when he dove to the bottom of the ocean and started to see personal items like a purse, a hat, a baby doll, he decided he wanted to build a museum and make it about the people. And that's what we're all about, is the passengers on the Titanic.
It truly is about the people here, and what is also amazing is that you all meet descendants today that come and teach you a little bit more all the time.
Absolutely. We just had one Tuesday, and I actually made you and your husband his great aunt and uncle. They actually got engaged on a lifeboat, and one thing he told me that I didn't know was that years later, Carl was his name, he was upset that he got in the lifeboat because he was under the impression that they were doing a lifeboat drill. So years later, when he survived, he felt like that the choice was taken out of his hands whether or not he wanted to survive or not, because he thought he was doing a lifeboat drill and was getting back on the ship.
It's an experience that really starts in the very beginning because everyone gets a card and becomes one of the passengers. There's also lots of hands-on experiences throughout this exhibit.
You get to walk up the sloping decks, see what it was like to go through those angles. You can sit in the lifeboat. You can stick your hands in the 28-degree salt water, which I know your son really enjoyed. We did a science experiment there. So we want to make you feel like you were on the ship the night we sank, in a safe environment, of course. But we have people at the memorial wall and the survivor wall just crying because of what happened to these people 114 years ago.
And I know for you all, it's been really personable learning about a lot of the children as you continue learning more of these stories. It's touching.
Last year and this year, it is about the children on the Titanic, 135 children. So it was really hard for our crew. You know, we know there was children on board, but then to dive down into their stories, there's a lot of tears. Some of us had to quit studying, but you know, it's part of their story, the people that were on the Titanic.
I know my family really enjoyed this experience, but what do you think it is that draws people in?
Well, Titanic, a fascinating story. And what we found out is most of our guests, who we call passengers, they're wanting to see how close the movie is to real life. So because of that, we have a brand new gallery, and we have the movie panel. It's not a door that Rose was found alive on, it was a panel. And we actually have a picture of where James Cameron got the idea of that panel. So we have 5 costumes and the panel that Rose was found alive floating on.
Very cool. It really is a must-see experience. Make memories, visit the Titanic Museum. You must have reservations. It's no wonder it always sells out.
All the time.
Thank you, Jody.
So cool. Visit TitanicPigeonForge.com for reservations and ticket information.